Uh, the culture of what this guy represents is part of what's so wrong with the internet. And it's not just this guy. It's also this guy. It's also, hold on, this guy. Like, I'm not even going to talk about any of these people's politics. There's individual problems with each of them. This isn't that kind of video, but like, part of the reason, and it's particularly bad with this guy. Like, this guy is particularly bad for this stuff. But part of the reason I say that they represent so much of what's wrong with the internet is because they're literally just toxic. Like, they fixate on shallow aspects of people in order to win debates, in order to get people to laugh with them, in order to get them to laugh at other people, in order to feel like they're winning. They will do anything they can to tear people down. And it's funny because I feel like, if you look at the episode of the Adam Friedland show with Destiny, I mean, Destiny got literally bodied in this video, without even Adam Friedland even trying. And I think it's because so much of like the world that someone like Destiny represents completely crumbles the moment that you're met with just like a normal person. He had Ro Khanna on. That's interesting. But yeah, as soon as you're met with like someone who is even like moderately charismatic and funny, who's living in the regular world, the social world, as soon as you encounter someone like that, like the arguments that you make out of toxicity and out of stupidity, out of sort of this, what would you even call it, this like blood sports game that so many people on the internet, and sadly it's moving to real life, to the normie world now as well. That game that they're playing totally falls apart when you're met with just some common sense perspectives from a social person. And um you know I just feel like the meanness that someone like that represents, the anger, the rage, the desire to hurt other people, I for political gain, I feel like that, what that represents is just, it's so far beyond what I want to see in the world. It's so antithetical to my perspective. But I see it more and more. Go to any Counter-Strike lobby, it's filled with people like Destiny. Go to, really anywhere on the internet, nowhere is safe from this stuff anymore. There's all these debate type people everywhere. It's like they're not interested in empathizing with where you're coming from individually. They're interested in tearing people down. And I don't like that. I just don't. I do not like kind of the obsessive emphasis on looks, the obsessive emphasis on career, the obsessive emphasis on, individual insecurities a person might have, and to then exploit them. It's not what I'm about. And it's sickening. Frankly, it's sickening. Looking at some of the tactics that these people engage in. And the fact that on the internet, more and more people are made to believe that in order to be socially successful, you have to be like these guys. Just go on Twitter. On Twitter, the whole system is based around one specific idea. The idea that if you're wrong, you get ratioed. If you are, if you have bad ideas or are undesirable in some manner, then you're going to get excommunicated and socially shamed. There's a social currency on the website based on, your like to comment ratio, or whatever. Frankly, I don't even fully know what that means. There's a currency on the site based on how many barbs you can trade with people, how well you can engage in the blood sports, rather than, you know, what's the quality of your argument, what's the quality of the discussion being had. That's not how Twitter works. But more and more, I think the way that Twitter makes people think, this kind of argumentative, angry, blood sports style of seeing the world, is bleeding into real life. More people are starting to talk like that in real life. Uh, More people are less likely to empathize with others, I think. And it's making everything worse. It's making everything on the internet worse too, because you see terminology from Twitter and Twitch and these other, you know, social, and I put social in scare quotes because it is scary, social media sites, right? Um, the culture of high school bullying that exists there is infecting all the other sites. The terminology that comes with it, the framing devices that come with it, the emphasis on a person's, how do you say this, immutable characteristics. I hate it. I hate it so much. Why can't we all just get along? Okay, so I've been doing some research on a number of topics, and I'm just going to show this message chain in order to describe it. So I was talking to No Thank You about how eggs are really expensive, which is a commonly known fact, unfortunate fact, and I made this claim that I actually can't verify. It's just based on vibes. Like when I go to the frozen section and I see fish, I feel like eggs, in terms of what you're getting, are probably more expensive than fish. That's the sense that I get. But the reason this all came up was because I was reading this article. Okay, I don't want to look at those dead bodies, but I was looking at this article where they actually found out that fish do feel pain, which is contrary to everything we knew up to this point. So while it may be true that fish are less expensive than eggs, even before the Great Flu, as I like to call it, which is currently ravaging the U.S. Not the Kung Flu, that was a different event from around 5 or 6 years ago. The Great Flu is what I'm calling it, is currently ravaging the U.S.'s poultry population. Even though eggs are quite expensive, I don't think we should switch. Oh God, I don't think we should switch it out to fish. So that's my first point. The next point that I would like to make is about this. I think this is called akeheme, I think is what this is called, or akihime. I don't know Japanese. I don't know how to say it, but it's a method of killing fish in Japan, where you basically cause brain death to the fish. You destroy its brain to seemingly instantly kill it. Some people would say that this is a more humane way of killing the fish, because it's the fastest. And generally, like, my view on this stuff is, if you're going to be eating meat, if you're going to advocate for a world where animals are killed, at least you should do it in the most humane way possible. Make it like a painless death, essentially. That's the only thing that I think you can really argue for if you're like a meat guy. So yeah, I mean, that was interesting to find out, I guess. But that's the world. This is the world that we're living in, I suppose. Oh, that's the wrong tab. But I don't actually know why I wanted to bring this up. I tried to describe to one of my friends recently what my mind looks like what kind of stuff goes on up there all day, and I ended up telling her that it looks kind of like this. That these schizo thumbnails that I post on my channel are not just a reflection of a certain artistic style that I have or a type of fun that I have on the internet. I think about these characters all the time. In my mind, these characters are having conversations with one another, they're playing around, they're messing around. And the way that I actually think about it is kind of particular. So I can give another example of this with a different picture, and this will kind of explain to you a little bit more about how my mind works. This image. Now, this image might seem like just a bunch of random stuff, right? Like, okay, the video was about the PS3 and the hands, so that's relevant to what the video was about. But why is like communism and Quebec in there? Like, why is this key visual novel character, I think this is from Kanan, in here? Why are they in Silent Hill for the PlayStation 1? Like there's a lot of questions here with this photo. And the truth is, this just immediately came to my brain because of the connections that I have to these particular topics. Like, I cannot think about visual novels in the 2000s style, like visual novels that look kinda like Higurashi, without thinking about the YouTuber Mr. Cynical, otherwise known as No Name on YouTube. He's known as a couple things. He had a really big video about the philosophy of Kreia from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Really terrible person, also really terrible politics and philosophy. Like, I disagree with pretty much everything that guy is about, and I mean, you can search Kiwi Farms for information about him. I don't have to divulge it here, but he has let's just say allegedly quite a precarious legal situation. But before we knew any of that stuff about him, I knew him when I was like 14. Was I 14 or 15 when I was talking to Mr. Cynical? I think I was 15. But I knew that guy, and he was a lot more chill back then. Nowadays, from my understanding, that dude is just completely insane. But he seemed like a chill, kind of regular guy. He talked a lot about visual novels, and he made his whole aesthetic on Discord centered around visual novels. He was posting memes from those games a lot, screenshots from particular moments where like there was a weird translation or like a humorous kind of phrase, these kinds of things. And so because of that, I cannot think of that guy without thinking about visual novels, and I can't think about these particular types of visual novels without thinking about that guy. And so, I just knew that I wanted to put a visual novel character in Silent Hill. That was like my starting point. I didn't know it was going to be from Kanan, but as soon as I thought of, I should put like a character from a key game in here because they look really iconic, immediately my mind went to Quebec. And the reason my mind went to Quebec is because Mr. Cynical is from there. And so, like, the way my mind works and what leads to a lot of these thumbnails in the first place is because, like, I just have an interconnected set of references. Like, I have all these references that reference other references, and like that's how my brain is organized. And so I can't think of one thing without thinking of another thing. And it makes my brain a very fun place to live in because a lot of these things that are seemingly unrelated end up getting mashed together, and it creates these strange worlds inside my mind. And I have to filter it a lot when I'm talking to people because, like, if I don't, then I'll just sound schizophrenic. Like for example, I will think it's funny to just tell other people stories that they've told me, but to tell them the wrong way. I find it really funny to like take a story that someone told and then mix it together with a different story that they told, and then just tell the story in a way that it did not occur. Um, and if I do this around the wrong person and they don't know that this is just a thing that I do, it'll just be like an awkward and strange moment, where they'll think that I legitimately just got everything mixed up in my head. But that's not actually what happened. Like, it's just a thing that I think is humorous to do. Um, but it's a very strange type of humor. Like, it's a thing that most people wouldn't really understand. And there's stuff like this all throughout my brain, right? One of the things I said to my friend last night is, I think my brain is kind of like a series of Family Guy cutaway gags. Because in the Family Guy cutaway gags, there's always these like semi absurd sort of things that happen that are just references to other things, and the joke is that it's a reference. Although I would say my mind is a fair bit more absurd than that. Like, the other thing I like to say to people is like my cognition is an exercise in the theater of the absurd. I don't even fully know what that means, but like it's kind of satisfying to say. Like, I have all these satisfying phrases that I just say to myself. It's like they make sense to me, but they don't really make sense. And that's one of them. Although I would say that one is one of the ones that is a fair bit more coherent than many of the other ones I have swirling around up there, but I digress. This is one of the reasons why I really identify with those cats. The cats that Louis Wayne, the schizophrenic painter, painted. I often feel like I'm living in a similar world to the one that they may have been living in. I often feel that that I share a kinship with them. That if I had the option, I would be one of them. And that's kind of a hard thing to describe to people, right? Like, it's kind of a hard thing to describe to people what it's like to be this, like whatever this is, like I don't know how to explain what that's like. But it's something. This is one of the other reasons why I like SpongeBob so much, or a lot of the 2010s cartoons like Adventure Time or Regular Show. These shows were just really strange things end up happening. It's because those shows really do feel absurd. Like another great example of this is oh man, what was the full name of the Felix the Cat cartoon from the 90s? It was like The Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat, or The Twisted World, something like that. Either way, really, really good cartoon. Really good cartoon. Rocko's Modern Life is another great example of a cartoon that, I just fell in love with and was fascinated with the world. Also very indicative of like my sense of humor. Really all the stuff I'm listing is. And like I eat that shit up. I I love the absurdity. I love the strange worlds that can potentially be created, right? And when I was a kid, I used to dream about living in Bikini Bottom to the point where like I would just cry. I would cry because I didn't live in that strange world. I thought it was so much more beautiful than the reality we live in. And I had a similar thing with animals too. All my friends growing up were animals, and so I'd have conversations with them, I would play with them. I felt like they understood my feelings and I understood theirs. And I would dream and wish that I could go live with them, that I could be one of them. And I related this to my isolation and tendency towards solitude. I related this to my general dislike of people and trouble understanding them, and I think often they're trouble understanding me. And I felt like life would be a lot better without them. Life would be a lot better if I could just stay with those fun animals all the time. And um, that's one of the things I really like to do too. Is I sit around on YouTube and I watch these videos of animals hanging out together, and animals playing and things like this, and it fills me with this kind of indescribable joy. The same kind of, I would say it's a little different, but it's the same kind of joy that I get from, from the absurd, from the strange world, the strange worlds that can exist inside of a person's head. Absurd creativity. And it's really hard to articulate, I think, because it's just such a euphoric feeling in the body. It feels so core to who I am as well. When I talk about animals in particular, it's like, there's this trend on YouTube that has, I think, traumatized me. I've never actually seen any of these videos. I've just seen the thumbnails of them and the titles. But like, I'll go around on YouTube, and when I'm looking up, like two animals like that I think would be friends with one another or hang out with one another, I inevitably end up finding, and these are some of the first videos that come up, that tells you how fucked up people are. I inevitably end up finding videos of people shooting them, videos of people, sicking one animal on another to make them fight. I mean, it's evil stuff. Like why is this content even allowed on YouTube? YouTube has a policy against glorifying violence. And when I post a video that has a title that's a joke, like "I love nuclear war," clearly I do not, but that's a quote. That is a quote of a title that I used on YouTube once. And like, I just title a video that, and I appeal it when I get a strike for, glorifying violence, and they're like, no, that's not how that works. And then my video's gone off the internet. Like, why is it that I get that kind of strike, but then people literally glorifying the murder of non-human individuals, the abuse of non-human individuals, the rampant kind of destruction of the natural environment? Why are people who promote this not banned off the platform? Or better yet, why are they not given some sort of legal charge? I don't understand it. And YouTube is full of this sort of stuff. It's every time I see it, it brings me to tears. I'm trying to have fun on the internet, and I'm feeling so happy when I look at these guys, and then, I turn to a video like that and I just break down crying. I don't know. This is sort of the other component of this too, is that it's not just that I'm thinking in references, I'm thinking in terms of meaning and sensitivity. I have this high level of sensitivity to my environment. And I wonder, how many other people can relate to that, other people with autism, other people on the planet. I feel like I have to present one version of myself to people because they won't necessarily understand what it is to be like that, or, it's just not allowed. But I don't always know how to be someone other than myself. A lot of the time I do, and it's gotten me into trouble because I can do it too well at times, but it leaves you with this empty feeling, because at the end of the day you just want to do what's natural to you. And I wish we could live in a world purged of all the violent elements, one that is just peaceful and happy, and everybody is free of judgment, when they live in their natural state. I feel like that's what I really dream about all the time. But we're so far from that, And I try not to think about that. Like, I try not to think about how far away from that we are. I just try to enjoy these things that make me happy. But sometimes, that other world creeps in on you and it invades. It's like what my friend No Thank You talks about when he talks about the Normans, about how the Normans are always invading. They invaded in 1066, they invaded in 1776, they invaded in 1896, they invaded in 1996, they invaded in 2016. And the thing about the Normans is that they just keep invading. They don't know how to stop. Um, and I just, I, I, I feel like that's what a lot of this is. It's this kind of, you get these people that are obsessed with like career maxing and looks maxing, and they have no care for their fellow man. It's all about big me. And, they definitely don't care about non-human life. And they just go around killing people. I mean, it's terrible. The kind of people that are out there are just sickening. And I just, it's all too much sometimes, man. It's all way too much. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it. It's like, I think there's something some people are born with and it's just different. But the thing is, these guys are all over 4chan now. It used to be like you'd find them in the high school locker room. You'd find them at the local police department. You'd find them in the principal's office. You'd find them, you know, trying to hide themselves in amongst everybody else in some cases. But now it's just out in the open. All the sociopathy, the sociopathy, it's all out there, out in the open. And it's not even sociopathy because that's something that in theory you could sympathize with, as a condition. It's, to bring back that old antiquated distinction, it's more like psychopathy we have going on out there, or narcissism. I mean, there are some truly evil people out there. And they're all over the boards nowadays. I mean, they're all over the internet in general. They're just 24/7. They're just talking about, I gotta get my bag. I gotta, get all my guns together. I gotta get, I don't even know. What do these people believe? Like, I gotta get like a fucking, a dude or a woman with a fucking $600,000 a year salary. Like, what even is this stuff? Like, I don't understand what any of this is. Like, these people would call me mentally ill for wanting to live a life of fun and leisure and wanting to make art and connect with art and to, connect with other people who are like-minded. They would call me mentally ill merely for wanting to do that. They would call me mentally ill for sitting in my room all the time and studying other languages and trying to better myself. They would call me all of these things. Why? Because I don't buy into the narratives about society that they buy into. I am not brainwashed by all of the spooks, all of the things that society tells you to believe. I am not subservient to the masses of people that tell you you ought to care about what other people think, that tell you, oh, you should follow the crowd, that tell you, oh, you only have value if you have a job, that tell you, oh, you only have value if you make a certain salary, that tell you, oh, you only have value if you look a certain way. I don't believe in that. I believe in the same ideals as MLK. I believe in the same ideals as so many idealists that existed throughout human history, not just American history. From Jesus Christ to the Diggers, it's like the people that are out there that are trying to push all of these vices, all of this evil. I don't know. It's just like I can't stand it. All the shallow people out there, it's like they literally can't imagine living in a world where you don't care about what other people think. It's like they literally can't imagine just doing your own thing and being happy, enjoying life, seeing life as something to be enjoyed rather than, as a as a checklist, right? They see it as like, okay, my life is a list of things that I need to do. Why do I need to do them? Oh, so I won't be cringe. Oh, so I won't be a loser. Oh, so other people won't judge me. Even though in a lot of cases, most people don't even care about you. Most people are not even thinking about you, man. Like, you're literally seeing the world as though you're the center of it, when that couldn't be further from the case. Like, you just exist. So does everybody else. Bitch, they forgot about you as soon as they walk past you. It's like there's no world in which you are that important. But so many people obsess over these shallow things that they have to attain, that they have to obtain, because society tells them that that's what they ought to do. So they're programmed to think a certain way. And I think so many of the things that they're programmed to think end up leading them to doing evil things to the people around them, engaging in harsh judgment, engaging in violence and bullying, engaging in othering of people, and not really approaching conversations from a patient and understanding lens, but one which seeks to divide people. And I don't want anything to do with that whole world. There's a lot of phony stuff in that world, and I don't want any part of it. I want to live in my own world. I want to live in the strange world.